And we are back with more of this tournament. We have the deck list set up right now. We're ready to go. We're just getting our two players to challenge each other. And in the meantime, let's take a quick look over these deck lists. So we've got Hero's Burden that we just saw from IceKholdStare in the previous round, which is that mono justice with a light splash of time. It's essentially a mono justice deck. It's trying to have all of its units be one color. And Grodov's Burden, Touch of Battle, Nahid's Distillation. So a couple of little things here for time. Trying to get Grodov's Burden plus Kodosh's Armor out because those work really, really well together. The other thing that we have is Grandmastersson, who is playing an Fire Time Justice, I would say value deck. I wouldn't necessarily call this armory. It has some weapons. Like, it's got Hammer of Glory, it's got Sword of Ikaria, it even has Pillar of Progress. But Pillar of Progress is just essentially a Power Stone with a small amount of upside for this deck. It's not trying to go really hard into weapons. Like, it's just the sword and the hammer, and then the hooked sword. There's not a lot of weapons all over the place, and like tons of board wipes. There's a lot of units still that are going to be coming out of this deck. We're going to see Wormstone. We're going to see Fourth Tree Elder. So we're going to see a bunch of those kinds of things. It's not just going to be weapons. So not quite your traditional armory list, but still a little more focused on actual relic weapons and doing some things there. So we're going to jump on into these games, and we are going to be watching from Grandmastersson's side for the start. And for some reason, I don't have sound. I know why. Aha! Alright, so we're watching. Grandmastersson is going to keep this hand because of the Seek Power. Which, yeah, I agree. It's kind of rough, though. 2 Ancient Excavators is a tough one to do.
We fight to survive.
Oof, and IceKhold's coming out with some early pressure, too. Really, really good against Sword of Ikaria. Killing that off doesn't actually deal with the problem as long as IceKhold gets play here before the sword. It's possible they don't have one. I mean, IceKhold's certainly looking at a lot of cards.
Defend the throne!
Yeah. So now I imagine the sword just goes ahead and takes out the 2/2. But at the same time, Grandmastersson now has nothing in their hand. Like 2 7-drops, 2 5-drops that require double time. And this is not a good position to be in for Grandmastersson. Grandmastersson can use the Dragon Forge to get another Sword of Ikaria, or can go for, like... Oh no, yeah, Skyfire Hellkit's already in hand. That's the only other dragon. So really just going for the weapon here. And it's so bad on this board. Versus Golem Press. Versus, like, the Exalted Lifesteal. Yeah, it's got to be Hammer of Glory. Good call. And a great top deck to get the time. We could see a Shenra here. Disjunction. Not a bad idea. Make sure that you get rid of the Golem Press. Stop it from being an issue from then on. It is definitely going to be one of the toughest cards for Grandmastersson to deal with in IceKhold's deck. It's really bad news. There's only 2 of them, so that's slightly better, but... Grandmastersson... I don't like that block. I like blocking the Exalted, because then you have the Hammer of Glory. You know that one can get made again. I like the idea of just getting rid of both of the units and then getting rid of that relic. Still, Grandmastersson's recovered from this really well. Their draw's been excellent, getting all of those power cards, getting this Aurelian Merchant help from ramp. We're almost at Shugo's Hooked Sword territory. That Steel Golem is certainly frustrating, just recurring every turn. But Grandmastersson's finally got the time to answer it. And now, Display of Creation maybe to get a couple of sigils? Grandmastersson not opting to attack here. Maybe just forgetting. It's very easy to forget that this got the war cry. Grodov's Burden is scary. Surprised not to see the display of creation to maybe try and make sure that Shugo's Hooked Sword can come down. I might almost just throw away the hammer, honestly. I know that's a little bit of a loss of value, but starting to get 2/2s right away makes a lot of sense. Ooh, and IceKhold's in enough of a spot they want to just draw off the Grodov's Burden. So IceKhold with 6 cards in hand, deciding to just draw. I have to wonder what's in there to actually justify that. Like, that's an interesting one. Yeah, and here we go. Grandmastersson getting frisky, throwing down that Shugo's Hooked Sword, which is exactly what I wanted to see. Just trying to end this game fast. I think that's the right way to do this. Like, if IceKhold is drawing off of Grodov's Burden, I don't know what's in IceKhold's hand, but it's gotta be cold, right? Like, it's gotta be bad. It's gotta be cold. So yeah, going for this pressure is a smart idea in my mind. Especially when you've got the 2 Ancient Excavators, you can buy back what you need. It's unfortunate to lose out on the value, quote-unquote, off of Hammer of Glory, but getting 2/2s every turn feels much more relevant than keeping the hammer around. IceKhold thinking really hard about this turn. I would think that if they had units, they'd have played them last turn, but I could be wrong. Just worried about Hammer of Glory, maybe. Yeah, it looks like that might have been the issue. Was playing a little too safe around Hammer of Glory, worried about it silencing their units. Maybe didn't play all the things they should have. IceKhold's really taking their time to think about this. We know that IceKhold has the Wind Conjuring. We know that IceKhold has Reinvigorate. Question is, how much of it do they have here? There's one. Is there a second to keep it alive? There's a Wind Conjuring. Wow. And Shugo's Hooked Sword runs face first into this 10-10. Deals Grandmastersson 5 damage. Oof. We are going to see it come back, so it's hardly the end of the world here, but it's not what they want to see. Could actually see an Edge of Prophecy out of the market here, too, from an Annex Smuggler. Oh, nothing's going to happen. Okay. Grandmastersson just waiting. Which feels very interesting. Just wanting to see what to trade off. It feels like a Time Sigil would have been pretty easy to trade. But maybe Grandmastersson doesn't know exactly what they want to get out of their market yet to deal with this board. Maybe deciding what that is with some future knowledge is a better plan. IceKhold, though, is I'm drawing a lot of cards, sitting on this Grodov's Burden, able to draw a lot more, but at the same time, facing down a lot of pressure here from Grandmastersson, knowing that Hugo's Hooked Sword is coming out. Shugo's Hooked Sword. Apparently can't say that today. But getting all those 2/2s is going to be tough for IceKhold. IceKhold doesn't actually have, like, any board wipes. Things like Unseen Commando can come down, and those are pretty steady, but like, it'll stop the board if you didn't have to deal with the sword. And IceKhold drawing more cards. Like this. I don't know what it's in IceKhold's hand. I imagine probably a lot of combat tricks. But this does not feel like a winning line. I don't necessarily think that IceKhold has a better one. It's just that this feels real bad to have to keep digging into the deck to try and find answers. And we are going to see IceKhold get shook by this hook. because it's going to come down and smash these units. Oof, yeah, getting Torch into Purify. And here's an interesting interaction. It's when you deal damage, and that will count, so that'll actually get another 2-2 as well. And now you can clean up that Exalted, get another 2-2, and it's looking like that's going to be the game. IceKhold has some cards that could stand up to this board in the way that, like, they won't die, but it's not going to be enough to save their life here, right? Like, the board's just wide enough. IceKhold could play a couple of Unseen Commandos and still die here. IceKhold's thinking. If IceKhold has Unseen Commando, and a Pump Spell, specifically Reinvigorate, then they can win. Like, they can actually stop this board from killing them. Yeah, Silverwing Familiar also works. As long as that Pump Spell's there. We do have the one thing that's unknown, yeah. Ancient Excavator doesn't have to get back the sword, it can get back the hammer. Let's see if Grandmastersson remembers that, because I think the right play here... Ooh, I don't like it. Yeah, Grandmastersson, I think, should have gone Ancient Excavator, pulled out that hammer, and stopped the life gain. Oh, there's no trick from IceKhold. Okay, ooh. I was thinking the Reinvigorate might have been enough. And I was worried about Grandmastersson actually throwing that game away with that attack, but as it turns out, lucky enough, IceKhold doesn't have the Reinvigorate, isn't able to gain enough life to save their, to save their life there. And we are up one game for Grandmastersson. We're going to watch and see if IceKhold can turn this around. See it from their side this time. We saw some pretty decisive wins by IceKhold in the last round. And we'll see if they can try and gain back that momentum.
I'll end you
and turn this match around. That game looked so bad for Grandmastersson at the start. They had so little power, and it didn't look like they'd be able to do much, but... Man, Grandmasterson's draw just worked out perfectly, getting power after power, and having all of the really, really good late-game value cards in there to just slowly overwhelm IceKhold. I do like this hand from IceKhold here. It doesn't have, like, the Golem Press, which I think is a really big problem for Grandmastersson. But Unseen Commando's also an issue. The only flyer in... Oh, sorry, there's a couple flyers in the deck for Grandmastersson, but not a lot. Like, they're very high-end. So you're basically... You're looking at, like, 4th Tree Elder, Skyfire Hellkite, and that's going to be a little bit hard, then, to answer an Unseen Commando. Oh, there is actually a Scorpion Wasp. Grandmastersson might not know that they can go here. I don't know if they were waiting on us or they were just deciding on something. They might have also been thinking about play in their hand, how to actually do their mana. That might be it, especially with that Seek power. Ooh, Reinvigorate.
Trust in your skills.
Can be a lot of damage on this Unseen Commando. Can save it from a lot of cards that Grandmastersson has, but they have to untap with it first. Grandmastersson coming out with that Seer. But Golem Press. We saw Grandmastersson deal with it last time fairly easily, but that's because they managed to get to the market right away. And there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. We're not seeing like a normal set of smugglers here and merchants, right? We're not able to get sets of 4 of each. We just have 2 of each. So 1 full set of merchants. Grandmastersson did dedicate a lot of slots in their deck to making sure they can get to the market. But, I mean, it's still very easy to miss 1 of 4 cards here. And boy, if they do, Golem Press just feels really rough for Grandmastersson to deal with. Like, their normal ace against the problematic unit is to be able to just deal with it because of with the hammer, right? Like, you can go ahead and use Dragon Forge and find Hammer of Authority. Here, no such luck. And now, 2 Aegis units. So Grandmastersson also can't use a Harsh Rule. And Grandmastersson needs a spell here, like, right now. Get that 7/7 out. We're gonna see a sword. No Reinvigorate. Oh, I guess Reinvigorate wouldn't actually have saved it, because it got the plus. Yeah, it was 4-2 thanks to the Pillar of Progress. So, smart play by IceKhold, silly play by me. IceKhold can draw a lot of cards here. I think... Oof, that's a tough one, actually. I'm not sure what's correct here. I think you want to draw some. No! IceKhold's just going straight for the damage. I forgot about the activation of Kodash's armor, to be fair. Didn't go for the win. I wonder if Grandmastersson does have a Scorpion Wasp. No, it's going to be a Seer. And I imagine that means there's like a Harsh Rule maybe coming down. It might have just been a way to get rid of the Aegis because dealing with this isn't really possible. Yeah, it looks like that's it. And, I mean, Grandmastersson is now just on, like, chump block duty here. Because we can pump up that Golem again, make it 6 double damage. Attack in with both, have Touch of Battle ready for the Zulta Exile. And Reinvigorate to save the Golem if they want. Or pump the other one. IceKhold might be thinking of using a Distillation, though. I can certainly understand that. Just a lot of great options here for IceKhold, essentially. I think I'd like to see an attack from both first. IceKhold thinking really, really, really hard. Alright, he's gonna pump both units. Alright. Forcing both blocks. Does leave only 1 unit on the board, though. And Grandmastersson does have that Sword of Ikaria in hand. So the big thing here... I'm getting back Wormstone. Alright, going for the torch. I was going to say, the big thing here, I think, now is can Grandmastersson find a way to actually deal with the Golem Fest? Because that constant pressure is going to start to really weigh Grandmastersson down. Especially if he needs Distillations to back it up. Yeah, now here comes down Unseen Commando. I really think that Grandmastersson needs either a Harsh Rule or like a Merchant. Even a Harsh Rule, though, I don't know. Did IceKhold not play Unseen Commando?
Trust in your skills.
There we go, okay. Wondering what they were waiting on. I guess maybe deciding if they wanted to hold up Touch of Battle. Well, there's the second Seer. But IceKhold can force Grandmastersson to just have to chump block again. Actually, no. No. Grandmastersson is dead. As long as IceKhold sees it. IceKhold doesn't. IceKhold could have stunned the 4/6, pumped their unit, and killed.
Defend the throne!
But it's easy to get lost in this and forget about that. So IceKhold just kind of forgetting about how this doesn't necessarily have to have Onslaught to be useful. Still a very commanding lead for IceKhold, because the Golem Press is just such a pain. Like, yeah, Grandmastersson gets to deal with it for a moment with that hammer, but it's not going to last. It's just going to keep coming back again and again. So I'm wondering, technically, is Grandmastersson still dead here again? Could have double pumped. Still had 3 left. Stunned it. Yeah, it would have been lethal. So 2 turns in a row. Retribution sitting in hand, enabling a lethal board state, and IceKhold just not seeing it. But Grandmastersson sees the writing on the wall anyways and scoops the game. We are now 1-1. IceKhold's Golem Press digging them out of a tough game. Like I said, we saw the answer out of Grandmastersson early last time, but I knew that would be a problem card, and it definitely was there. Just enough to keep up a ton of damage onto Grandmastersson, and then, of course, basically blank a lot of the weapons. So we're going to get a game 3 here. One of these players is going home after this. Great starting hand from Grandmastersson here. Being able to have all their colors. Being able to go for the merchant in case something like the Golem Press shows up. Getting something like Edge of Prophecy if not. Lots of good options here. And of course, Hammer of Glory is really, really nice against all of IceKholdStare's abilities. A harsh rule. There is a tough decision to be made here in a minute for Grandmastersson if they don't draw the right power card. In that, do you go for extra justice, go double justice, or do you go for the double fire?
A customer.
We're going to see a merchant before Sword of Ikaria. Trading, I like that. Trading instead for Twin Brood Sauropod. Grandmastersson realizing, I think, that IceKhold's a little bit stuck here. They've got a lot of power on the board right away. They've managed to get to 5 already. And now we can just see Twin Brood Sauropods come over and smash IceKhold before they can start a game even. I love this play. Just totally changing around the board plan to adapt to IceKhold's hand here. And instead become the aggressor and not sit back on the back foot and try and use this hammer. No. Just go straight for the face. We'll see how it works out. Ooh. Here are the people. Thankfully, we see Grandmastersson with this Seer in hand. And starting to put some pressure back on IceKhold. I think that's absolutely the way you want to do it. Not care about the war cry, just make sure that you get in with your 5-4. Vanquish coming out of IceKhold though, and I mean, Grandmasterson's now just sitting on a single Twin Brood against a hand of 5 cards. I mean, there's other things in Grandmasterson's hand, but their pressure is evaporating real fast. Yeah, and we're going to see Hammer come down instead. Grandmastersson opting to just kind of keep the board clear and not keep up that pressure that they had earlier. So I think IceKhold might have weathered the storm here. and gotten past this Twin Brood. Obviously, it really depends on what they have in their hand, but there's a lot of cards over there. Maybe deciding what to throw away into the face of this Hammer of Authority. Or Hammer of Glory, sorry. I think that's what it is. Yeah, just deciding what is the least important unit, what can get tossed. So, what was Grandmasterson's advantage early is now kind of their downfall. It was great when they got up to 5 so fast with the ramp, with the Merchant, and with that Pillar of Progress. But now, Grandmasterson needs some gas here. Ooh, IceKhold not playing anything? Does IceKhold just have a handful of Wind Conjurings? That could be the case. Like, Wind Conjuring and Reinvigorate are cards in IceKhold's deck. There's a Burden. And I mean, a good card, but not on this board. Ooh, and we see IceKhold in the same position as game 1, where they're just desperation digging for anything to save them here. If you see that card draw and you're Grandmasterson, you've got to basically be high-fiving internally, because you know immediately that you're in great position.
For those who cannot.
There's not an instant answer. Oh, but IceKhold found a hero into a Silverwing familiar. And Grandmasterson just has power. Oh no, Grandmasterson has like no way to deal with this. Because Harsh Rule just pops the Aegis. If you go for the Vanquish first on like this, they have Exalted. It goes to the other one. And you can't even change the 5/4. You can't even trade it. Because it's a 6/6. This game's over, but the other way around. I don't think that Grandmasterson has an out. In one turn, Grandmasterson went from in an almost insurmountable lead to being, I think, unable to even have an out at this point. Have zero chance of winning. Across a single turn. Wow. Yeah, and I mean, Torch actually saves it. Torch does it. I mean, it's still gonna be really bad news now, though, because that hero has revenge. So Grandmasterson is on a massive ticking clock here. Oh no, IceKhold immediately with Nahid's Distillation, and that clock just got a lot faster from Grandmasterson, and he can't stop drawing power. And here comes the hero, and the game is over once again. Unfortunately, Grandmasterson just hitting some really rough ones there, of just a lot of power into power into power. Grandmasterson choosing to play this out to the bitter end. Oh, but now we even see Kodosh's armor. So if one of these goes away, it goes on to every other unit. And I have to imagine that this is just Grandmasterson picking up the cards. Yeah. Oof. What a game. What a turnaround. Absolute heartbreak for Grandmastersson, who I was positive had that game in the bag. And if I were Grandmasterson, I would have felt the same way. It would have been hard not to look at that board and think that you had it. But what a turnaround from IceKhold. I think really well played, honestly. Like, lucky for sure to get the right cards, to get the hero right afterwards. But a good job of, like, mitigating damage, knowing to play the Godal's Burden and just try and dig to the outs, and manage to hit the out. So really well done.